closest experience I had was probably making the first movie we made, right? Because that was all of us inexperienced, all of us kind of at the same level, wanting to be filmmakers. This, next time I did it, it was on Mallrats. We had a budget and there were professionals and stuff, and There Forward was the same thing. So this was closest to Clerks in as much as like 70% of our crew being the Ringling kids. You're talking about 70% of the crew wanting to be filmmakers. The rest of the cats are so early in their career that they do want to be filmmakers. What you wind up with when you work with seasoned pros is some cats have been doing it for a long time, and like any job in the world, the magic wears off sooner or later for some folks, and then you wind up working with people who are treating it more like a job, which is fine. But you get magic when you got a bunch of people who are treating it like we're saving the world by doing this. If we don't do this right, everything is destroyed. You know, the emo heart of a storyteller. So you got that with the kids. They're all wanting to do this thing that I've been doing for like a quarter of a century. And so when you make a movie with that much kind of energy, it's fun. I mean, number one, it dials my clock back, which is nice because I almost died a couple months ago, so it's nice to feel young again and stuff. But, you know, if you open your ears as well, you're going to walk away with a better movie because they got fresh ideas, all these kids. You know, I talked about on the last go-round, who was it, in locations? Vincent in locations was, you know, he asked me at one point, he goes, hey man, what is like Killroy's deal? Like sometimes he's eating kids, sometimes he's like a kid's savior. And I was like, yeah, well, I said he was eating kids because when we first started this project, it was called Krampus, and that was part of that story. And so it was kind of a remnant of that. He goes, it's just kind of unclear, like, you know, like he's almost like a kid's savior. And I was like, that's good, why don't we lean into that? And so we rewrote the rest of the sections, the ones that we shot this trip, to reflect that. He's more of like a not like a kid superhero, but he's always there for kids. He's done about adults. So all the people getting killed are adults and stuff like that. I don't know, it made it better. It gave it a clearer vision. Like it started life as something else, as a Krampus movie that we didn't wind up making. So in repurposing, some of the DNA is still, of course, left around. And scraping that away allowed us to create new stuff that made more sense for what it currently is. Killroy Was Here. That came from working with the folks out here, with the kids. You know, I can throw you example after example. Alexis in the production department created a flower. Like, you know, we were working with a plastic flower. I was like, up close it looks plastic. 20 minutes later, she was like, I made this. She pulled together a bunch of like elements from the wild and created a flower. And then later on, I was like, it looks so good. Unfortunately, I got to duplicate it because somebody has to eat one of those. And then she created like a, you know, what was that called? Fondant version of it. Like, you ain't going to get that like from a paid pro. You know, they'll order from some shop or whatever. They'll do the thing that's expected. But when you're working with kids, they'll do the thing that's least expected. They'll do the thing that makes most sense to them, or necessity being the mother of invention. They'll come up with something that works way better than if somebody just ordered it from a warehouse or something like that. Little moments like that make it stand out. It's going to make it different than anything else I've ever worked on and stuff. Little touches, flourishes like that. That don't come from me. That comes from them. So that honestly, I mean, it's a long way of saying like this experience probably closest to my first experience. And that's because we've got all the kids.
So is there anything specific about like Florida or Sarasota that kind of stands out to you when it comes to like filming here?
Production value as far as the eye can see. As soon as you turn on a camera outside, everything looks camera ready. Everything looks like it belongs in a movie. The foliage, the trees, the mangroves, the moss. It's just, you would pay somebody to create that kind of thing. There are positions back home where there's a greenskeeper whose job it would be to make it look like this. So number one, that natural elements, just fantastic. Let me see, what else? There was a pretty great talent pool. We wound up pulling a lot of cast from the area as well. We're working with an actress tonight, Neela, who came from local casting. She's just tearing it up outside, man. So there's that aspect as well. I could do, I mean, this ain't me, and I'm sure all the locals know what I'm talking about, but good Lord, keep your heat. Like, I don't know how anyone exists in this. And this, I picked a wrong time to start wearing suit jackets. I'll tell you that much. But other than that, like we had 2 like really sweltering days, but we kept it cool. You know, we had and I shouldn't even shot a camper out of air conditioning. So at any moment I can flee to air conditioning, but it's pretty darn hot down here. But other than that, man, the elements that play when we came down to Sarasota made the movie better, like way better. It looks way more interesting. Especially like considering our creature looks a little, he looks scary, but he also looks funny at the same time. We had to stay close to the idea of Killroy. So he's got a pretty big nose. Like the idea is he was burned and stuff, so it's like melted face, but he's got like this long Killroy looking nose. And the first time that Bob Kurtzman, he was our special effects guy, he's got it to tusk. He made Marky Mark's for Boogie Nights and stuff. He's a legend in this film. When he designed it, he showed me the first take of the mask, and the nose was really long. I was like, Bob, you got to circumcise that nose. It reads exactly like what you're intending. So it came in a little more. So that mask in these surroundings looks wicked as looks really cool. We wouldn't get that if we were shooting in Los Angeles.
Really, you have a question?
Yeah, so when you're done, what will you tell your colleagues about what it was like to shoot in Sarasota, work with Ringling?
Probably the same shit I've been telling them for the last year, because we started this like a year ago, and I went back the first time. I was like, oh my God, man, what a great place to be. You can go down there and be creatively free, work with a bunch of kids who are going to make you feel young again. Like, why not turn back the clock? Justin Long had sucked me into it, right? He had come here before me. And he told me at one point, he's like, I was down at the school in Florida, and like, we're gonna make a series of short films. I said, get out of here, really? He said, yeah, man, it was real infectious, the energy. They're in art school and stuff. You should go down there and talk. So he was the one that set it up. I imagine I'll be doing the same thing for somebody else in the future, where I'm like, you know what you want to do? Go down to Ringling, Sarasota, man. Work with the kids, you can shoot your thing, and you'll have utter freedom and stuff. It's an easy sell to others. And also the bigger sell is going to be able to be like, here, look at the movie. And they'll be like, oh, that looks nice. We hope, right? Like at the end of the day, we thought they'd say that, but Yo-Go's as well. It didn't really happen. So we'll see.